So Telefonica is one of the first operators that deployed core in a trial. I hope that Luca did all this work of making it simple 1 year ago, because we've been working in the last year to roll out core and connect the first customers. We are in the group of the first operators that we deployed core and we connect real customers to it. And basically, we wanted to take core out of the lab and start involving customers to learn how the technology works, but also getting feedback from customers on what are the benefits of using this type of infrastructure to provide connectivity to them. And this is something that we do in innovation in Telefonica. We involve customers from the very beginning. We have a very well-defined process for innovation that is taking innovative ideas through an innovation funnel of different stages. And we involve customers in every single one, okay? Even when we have the idea, we talk to customers, we do focus groups, and we try to get feedback from them how to get to a better product. And this is what we did with core, right? We take this idea of providing connectivity services to customers using edge computing and disaggregation in the network, and we wanted to test these solutions with customers. And I'm gonna focus on three lessons learned. Of course, we learn a lot during this process, but I want to highlight three topics during this keynote. The first lesson is about doing a trial itself, okay? This is a trial that we launched in Spain, in one specific area in Madrid. And we invited customers to join us for testing this new type of connectivity, okay? We had more than 600 people interested in participating in the trial. Unfortunately, we couldn't connect everyone because we were using the PON network. And as you know, in every fiber in the PON network, there are several customers. So depending on where the customer was connected, we could move the fiber to the new OLT or not. But there was quite interest from the beta tester community that we have in Telefonica to participate in this trial. We would offer them the triple play service, so we provide them internet broadband access, plus the TV service and the fixed voice, running on the same, or using the same equipment that we use in the legacy service, the same Wi-Fi router, with the same ONT, etc. And we did this in one central office. This is the building. It's in the south of Madrid. And this is the pod that we built to support the connectivity. It has all the servers, the leaf and spine switching fabric. The OLT is this box over here, the GPON OLT. It's all running on minus 48 volts because this is the energy that is available in the central offices. So we had to put some power converter over here to get 12 volts for the servers. And we started connecting customers to it, okay? This is the announcement that we did for the customers. We invited them to help us to test the internet of the future. This is what we call it. And we were offering them a 6 months trial period with this internet broadband access, plus TV, plus fixed voice. So from this experience, what we learned is, yes, you can take core and do a field trial, and it works. It required some effort to take it to a kind of production status. We had to deploy ONOS in a cluster, and till the ONOS version 1.13, we didn't feel comfortable enough using the cluster mode for ONOS. We did all the adaptations also for the GPON OLT in Volta and Telefonica ONT. So it requires significant effort from our side to put it in place and make it work. We're running traffic from customers since May, so it's over 6 months now. And we had no big issues connecting customers and running the traffic from these customers in this period of time. But of course, there are some gaps in the technology that we have used to make this happen. Some of the key components in Cord, they have some gaps. Okay, this if we want to upgrade ONOS now to the latest version, you need to disrupt the service somehow. You need to shut down the ONOS cluster that we have and upgrade the version and set it up again. Also in Volta, we are stick to version 1.4 because in Volta there are many changes. Not always those changes are backwards compatible, so it requires a lot of testing, regression testing, to make sure that the new versions do not break what we had in the system. Okay. So this is some feedback that already translated to Luca a few months ago. Okay. The second lesson, which is more related to customers, is about the user experience transformation. Okay. When you move to software solutions, that you start creating networks with software, it's not just replacing black boxes by BNFs that do the same thing, right? We had to rethink how we provision the infrastructure, how we connect the infrastructure, etc. I will give you one simple example. In the production network, when we connect customers, the ONTs are connected to the OLTs, and we're still using PPP over Ethernet to terminate the tunnels between the customer and the network equipment. But PPP over Ethernet is like a legacy function that we inherit from the days of the DSL technology, and is not that relevant for fiber connectivity. So we decided to remove this function from the stack. Part of the transformation that we wanted to take is to empower the user somehow. So today in Telefonica, when you get a fiber connection, there is someone that is coming to your house, connect the fiber, connect the router, checks that everything works fine, and then he leaves. In our case, we wanted the user to do all the stuff, besides connecting the fiber, of course. So we told the installation guys that they need to deploy the fiber, connect the fiber, but everything else will be done by the user himself. Okay, so we provided a set of instructions with 3 different boxes, one for the Wi-Fi router, one for the phone, and one for the TV device. And they have to do everything. They have to install the fiber, connect the fiber to the ONT, subscribe to the service, set up the service, everything. We had a UX team working on that. And once they connect the router, they get to this landing page, which is a web page where they can introduce the credentials. And only then they decide what plan they want to use for connectivity. Okay, so we will offer them 300 megabytes, 600 megabytes, and pretty soon we will be testing the 1 GB. And this is a process that happens in real time. Okay, so when the user selects 300 megs, we tell Volta that we need to provision this ONT with this capacity, etc., and we make it happen in real time. If the user goes back to the website and want to change the plan, he confirms it, and a few seconds later, we have changed the capacity of the line of the user, again, in real time, with no operational involvement from any operation guys in the company. Okay. So the second takeaway is that when you transform the networks into software, it's not about just building BNFs. It's about rethinking how you offer the connectivity to your customers. Okay? How you create this new experience, this new digital experience for customers, so that they have the control, they have the power, the decision power, but also they get all the service provisioning in real time. And the important thing is that core is not just about infrastructure. It's not about building access technologies at the central office. For us, core is a vehicle, is a tool to get this UX transformation in place. And it's more about customers and services than infrastructure. It's how the users are going to consume connectivity in the future. Great. The third takeaway is related to edge computing. Okay? You know that Core started as a platform that combines the switching fabric with compute power, storage, etc. And from the very beginning, we put a lot of focus in leveraging these edge computing capabilities to offer better services and additional services to our customers. Because for the first time, we are putting the services closer to our customers than ever. Okay? We are deploying these pods few miles away, few kilometers away from every customer. We have tons of places in the country where we can deploy these mini data centers, and we are a few milliseconds away from the customer. Okay? We have made some measurements in our trial, and with wireline probe, we detect less than 2 milliseconds for the house of a customer to the first virtual machine running in this infrastructure. If you use Wi-Fi, there is a slight increase in the time of response, but it's below 5 milliseconds. And because Core is an open platform, within that, we need to use this platform to deploy not only telco services, but services from third parties as well. What it really means is that we can put any service from any third party, we can put any content very close to customers. And more important, we can have this very low latency, but we can have a constant and guaranteed low latency. If you look, I don't know where's there's a pointer here, but if you look at app, you see that the latency is not constant because going to the internet, you have routers in between, you have congestion points. But at the edge, you have a clean network, and we can deliver the content, we can deliver the service with a sustained performance and the best performance that we can provide to customers. And we wanted to test this. So we use this for our CDN platform. We have a CDN in Telefonica that is running in the network. So we move this CDN to the edge. Okay? We virtualize the CDN software. We put it in the Core pod. And now we can deliver the content from the edge. We can deliver the movies, the series, with increased quality. Now we are testing 4K quality for some content. And you know that most of these video devices, they use AVR to adapt to the network conditions, etc. With these types of solution, we maintain the quality profile in the highest band all the time, because there are, again, guaranteed latency, guaranteed bandwidth to deliver content. So the takeaway is that with Core, we can get a competitive advantage that we think that telcos are in a very good position to exploit, which is getting closer to the customers and be able to deliver services with an unprecedented quality of experience. And this is going to be very important when 5G comes, because 5G is about reducing latency in the radio spectrum. But if you don't have the edge computing to put the content, to put the services very close to customers, you won't take advantage of the 5G. And if content is the king, and you have heard that from Amin from Google yesterday was saying that 70% of the content of the internet traffic is video. Well, you can rely on an edge computing platform. You can put the content very close to customers. Then you're solving part of the problem. So we see Cord not just as a new way to deploy connectivity, but as an edge computing platform that will let us deploy new services and provide better user experience for them. And I want to show you some examples that we have built. Okay. Of course, in Telefonica we have different units, different marketing teams. We've been working lately with a B2B team that is providing some storage services. Okay, so we talked to them and we decided to test how edge computing can benefit storage services for enterprises. And we have deployed a storage solution in Cord, and we are comparing how long it takes to upload 1 GB file to the cloud compared to uploading it to the edge. This is the cloud video. I hope it will work. Basically, what we are doing is taking one file, copying it to one folder that is connected to the cloud. And you see that the file starts copying fast, but as the buffers get full, then the transmission gets installed. I'm skipping most of the time because it's boring, pretty boring. But if you see, we will get almost to 4 minutes to copy one file to the cloud. Okay? And this is with a 600 megabytes access. The average transfer is 35 megabytes per second, and the channel utilization is only 6%. Okay? Even though we have 600 megabytes, the time it takes is long. Well, we have done the same with the edge. Okay? We have a solution from one vendor that is deployed in the Cord infrastructure, and we are repeating the same operation connected to this storage solution at the edge. We're copying the file, and as you can see, it starts fast, but it's quite sustainable. There is no escalation in the transfer of data, and runs pretty smoothly. This is around 400 megabits per second. It completes the operation in 20 seconds. Okay? So with this data, the same file transferred to the edge, we are consuming 70% of the channel to upload this type of file. Okay? Of course, if we had 1 giga, the file transfer goes even faster. In the case of cloud, if you increase the bandwidth, you don't get any benefit because the installation is happening outside your network. So this simple example lets you prove that the edge is really fast. Okay, and this time is more than 10 times faster, and we are about to explore this solution with some customers as part of this trial. There are some B2B customers that are interested in start testing this type of use case. But the edge also opens interesting new business models, okay? Because you have seen this is a storage service that, of course, the operator can offer by himself. We can provide the hardware, the software, the service, and the operation of the service, and we sell this storage service to some customers. But with Cord, we have other options as well. We can offer the service management to a third party. So we provide the infrastructure, the virtualization software, the service software, but the operation is done by someone else. Or even, we can just provide the platform and the virtualization software, and the third party provides the rest of the pieces, right? And we get to a business agreement with them to share some of our infrastructure with these big cloud providers. this is how we see the future. We see the future that Cord is a platform that can enable new services, not only developed by telcos. By the way, telcos are very bad at designing services. The services guys do this much better than us. And I have brought a video that shows this vision for us. So I hope it will sound okay.
We're going to explain to you how we imagine the central offices of the future. Central offices are those old buildings where the copper and fiber cables that come from our customers' houses connect to the network. In OnLife, we are working to transform the COs into data centers, where in addition to connecting our customers to the network, we deploy computer servers on the edge, which is key for end-to-end digitization and enables the deployment of new services at the edge of the network. The first advantage of this transformation is that there will be around 1,000 data centers in Spain, which will allow all customers to be closer to services, eliminating, for example, the delay that affects some games or virtual reality services, or allowing the videos to be consumed with higher quality. OnLife also changes the philosophy of network deployments. For example, since the smartphones arrived, it is no longer necessary to have a radio, a camera, a compass, or a GPS, because all these functions have been converted into software applications that run on the same hardware, the smartphone. Doing the same in the COs, instead of a large number of black boxes, we will have an edge computing platform on which we can run different network applications, virtualized, such as firewalls, routers, gaming servers, IoT, storage. Not only can we customize applications, but also connectivity, so that we can have personal internet experience configured and adapted to each of us, to the services we use, and to the devices connected at home, prioritizing which is important and giving us total control of the home network. This approach will also foster innovation, since it will be much more efficient and simple to create, deploy, and integrate new services and products. New services can be integrated in one day and deployed in a matter of minutes. It would be equivalent to downloading and installing a new app on a smartphone. This end-to-end digitization of the edge of the network will generate considerable savings. As we have already mentioned, you can reuse commoditized equipment for different functions, which will require lower investment and simplify maintenance. It will also be possible to move devices, such as network storage from the customer premise to the CO, which will allow new services to be provided with no need to install or modify customers' equipment. Finally, we will open an ecosystem of partners, since by using an open and modular architecture, the number of possible hardware and software providers will explode. We'll also open new possibilities to work with service providers, for example online games. This is how we see the central offices of the future. Fasten your seatbelt for what is coming.
Okay, we're not there yet, but this is how we see the central offices of the future. We are now putting a lot of effort in testing these new services, and we are pushing OnLife and Cord to be part of several use cases that we are testing in Europe. We are participating in a project it's called 5G Media, and it's about remote video production. So the idea is that the journalists will go with a 5G device to cover some events or sites, and they can do direct transmission from this 5G device to the edge of the network. The edge of the network captures this video and sends this video transcoded to the remote production unit that is centralized. And once the editor of the videos decide which camera, which video source need to be broadcasted, then the user plane is sending this video in maximum quality for broadcast. So we're about to test these scenarios in some areas in Spain. And also we are pushing the edge computing platform based on Cord in the 5Genesis project, which is a project that are building 5G facilities across Europe. There is one in Malaga, one in Berlin, and one in Athens. And we will be collaborating with police and the other organizations in testing some surveillance services based on 5G across the city. And with that, I think I'm done. I don't know how long it took me.
Thank you, David. Thank you, David. Are there any questions for David?
Hi. I have two questions.
Okay.
I'm glad to see this. I'm very happy to see this. So I'm Margaret Kios, I work for Huawei, but I used to work for another carrier who had this vision. So I'm really glad to see that more carriers are embracing this finally. So I have two questions because this is always the challenge. Are you building it just in time, this deployment, or are you proactively building to get, because in the end, to really do some of this, you need a wide deployment like a fog. And you always have this challenge of deploying ahead of time before you have the applications, and of course then it's high capital expense, or building it just in time, but then of course, the fog is very thin. So that's one question.
So I'm not sure I understand the question.
So are you building, are you rolling out your edge in a just-in-time manner, or are you doing it more proactively?
No, this is a data center that we deployed in one central office, and we are connecting some customers from this, in the perimeter of this central office to this type of infrastructure, okay? Of course, we want to test the technology and make sure that the economics works, etc. In one place, and then the company will decide if we take this all on a scale, let's say, in the near future. We have done some economic analysis, and basically, from a CapEx perspective, this starts to make sense for central offices beyond 10,000 customers that can be connected there. For smaller places, of course, coming with a big rack of infrastructure doesn't make sense compared to deploying a smaller footprint infrastructure. So we're testing this in one place. Now we are extending to Malaga to have a second deployment over there for the 5 Genesis. And for next year, we are planning to go to some other country in the Telefonica footprint to do some trial as well.
Okay, and then the second question is, if you have, so the life cycle of a server is usually like, I don't know, 2 to 3 years. Have you thought through that you may need to constantly update these? Because of course now you need, more CPU, more RAM and things like that. Those challenges when you start deploying hundreds of these things out there?
Well, there are gaps there to make it operational yet. As I have mentioned, there are some software components that for us to upgrade, Core doesn't provide the tools yet to do this upgrade, okay? And we want to work with the community to bring these practices and these tools for being able to do so. Extending the capacity, with the core architecture, you have this leaf and spine switching fabric that you can use as top of the rack, and is relatively simple to scale horizontally, adding more racks to the same core pod, let's say. Did I answer your question?
Western Digital here. Thank you for the presentation. Very good insights on Telefónica's vision. There were I have two questions. You mentioned that the plan is to deploy 1,000 data centers in a country. Is it the plan? Is it to for these 1,000 data centers to have a core architecture? So that's my first question.
Okay, so the goal is, when we complete the deployment in all the central offices in Spain, we will have 1,000 data centers. Okay, there is no plan to do this yet, okay? But we have 1,000 locations, 1,000 central offices in Spain, and if we roll out core in all of them, we will end up having 1,000 small data centers.
I see. And the second question is, so core, and I saw in some of the slides there's some reference as well to mobile and maybe leveraging converged fixed mobile. What is the, is there plans for Telefónica to include MEC, multi-access edge computing type of architecture standards, or what is your perspective on that?
So for mobile, we've been doing some tests as well, using the same OnLife solution that we built for core. We have tested some mobile solutions from some vendors using disaggregated RAN. So we run, for instance, the BBU run in the same data center that we deployed in the central office, and the EPC components, some of them can run as well in the same data center. Using MEC or not, personally, I'm not a big fan of MEC. I prefer to move the PIC gateway to the edge to have the IP interface from the edge, but we will see.
Thank you.
I think we have one more question.
Sure, thank you. Very nice presentation. You mentioned the CDN service, I think Movistar, and the reduced latency. And you also mentioned ABR, that instead of having bit ladders, and you'd always have it be the highest level, right, of quality. So do you see that reflected in customer statistics, whether less churn, people staying longer, attributes at the end that is driven by this reduced latency? I mean, the file transfer is an obvious case. Absolutely, it is a wonderful case. But on the CDN side, have you seen economic?
Well, the volume of customers that we have doesn't let us get this information yet. Of course, we have seen that the bandwidth that we deliver to customers can be much bigger. Our vision is that using core is not only the CDN for the operator content, but it's a platform to deploy other CDNs as well. You can deploy other CDNs as well, right? So one of the use cases that we've been looking at is for delivering advertisements, okay? So in the advertisement industry, it's quite critical that the time it takes to display the ad is as low as possible, because it increases the chances for users to click in the ad, right? And this has an impact in revenues, etc. And we have done some tests deploying some advertisements in this type of infrastructure, and the numbers are significantly better in terms of users hitting the ads.
Thank you, David.
You're welcome.